The 1970-71 season, League Division 3, finishing third, League Cup second round, FA Cup first round. No sooner had the 69-70 season finished than Town were to lose the services of their star player. Despite being missed for almost half of the season, the supporters were looking forward to seeing the best of Freddie Hill. But on the 8th of May, he took up the chance of returning to the First Division with Manchester City, then under the wings of Joe Mercer and the flamboyant Malcolm Allison, and moved to Main Road in a record share deal worth £12,000. Alan Ball retained the rest of the squad, but within weeks of the 69-70 season finishing, he too had left the club. Speculation had been rife ever since Preston had sacked manager Bobby Seath that Ball would be one of the favourites to take over. This was realised when, on the 22nd of May, Ball moved to Deepdale, to a club that, on the face of it, had better prospects than Halifax Town. Ball took trainer Harry Hubick, who had been at the Shea for 7 years, with him. Chairman Alan Maiden described the loss of Ball as a body blow, but there was no shortage of applicants for the now vacant post of manager. Halifax Town received over 50, but in the end the board decided to promote from within, and George Kirby, after a year as coach, moved into his first managerial hot seat. He immediately installed Arthur Cox as coach, moving from a similar position at Aston Villa, and made Andy Bergin captain. Kirby felt no need to delve into the transfer market immediately, despite the money available from the sale of Freddie Hill, but he did promise the town supporters that, with the same players at his disposal, except for David Shawcross, who was advised to quit the game on medical advice, he would put the Ascent on attack. His one big surprise was the inclusion of young Keith Brearley in the forward line, but having nurtured him for a year in the reserves, Kirby had no doubts as to his ability. As fate would have it, Kirby and his mentor Alan Ball met on the season's opening day at Preston, where the sides fought out a 1-1 draw. Town built on this, and when they defeated Doncaster on the 11th of September, they moved into second place. A thrilling victory over local rivals Bradford City also carried them into the second round of the League Cup, and a meeting with Brian Clough's Derby County. Former Town favourite Willie Carlin was in their side at the baseball ground. Town lost 3-1, but fought all the way and were a credit to the third division. In November, Kirby returned to Derby to sign centre-half Tony Rhodes, a reserve but who had played against Town in that match. It was not just the new strip of tangerine shirts and blue shorts that was getting Town noticed in the league. A comprehensive 4-1 victory over Plymouth was one result among many that had the other teams taking note. True, Chesterfield let Town off lightly with a 5-0 hammering, but the following week, Town's defeat of Preston, making steady progress towards the summit under Ball, was no fluke. Even after an indifferent spell, Town geared themselves up and came through with flying colours against an Aston Villa side playing in the third division for the first time. The Shaymen's 2-1 home win suggested that they could more than compete with the biggest clubs. Tony Rhodes' arrival in a £7,000 deal coincided with the departure of coach Arthur Cox, who defected to Preston. His replacement at the Shea was Brian Green, who moved from Barrow, and though he lasted at Halifax longer than Cox, it was not by much. By the end of March, Green had headed for Kuwait, where a coaching post awaited him. So into his shoes stepped Mick Buxton, who had been advised to quit the game following 2 broken legs. An unbeaten run in the new year saw Town move among the promotion chasers, with Fulham, Preston and Villa, all clubs on sound financial footings, also in contention. 2 draws and 2 wins in February earned Kirby his and Town's first Manager of the Month award, as the Shaymen moved into third spot. Then, during March, Town were put to the test, but proved equal to all that was thrown at them. They beat second place Fulham at the Shea, and 7 days later held Aston Villa to a 1-1 draw at Villa Park in front of an attendance of 33,522. Ultimately, Town would miss out on promotion by finishing third. 3 clubs were not promoted from Division 3 until 1974, and they probably look back at the home defeat by Mansfield on the 20th of March as the game that cost them the most. Dudley Roberts' headed goal, did the damage, and after that Town were always chasing Preston and Fulham, while Villa surprisingly slipped out of the race. Town kept up the pressure on the leading 2, however, and promotion was still a possibility with 3 games to go. But luck deserted Town at Torquay on the 28th of April, where they went down 2-0. The players returned to the dressing room knowing that the dream was over. Still, Town's finishing position was credible for a club that had on its books just 16 professionals. They had scored more goals, 74, than any other team in the division, and they are right to compete in the following season's Watney Cup competition, was some compensation. But promotion was not the only thing that Town missed out on during the 70-71 season. Car manufacturers Ford were giving away huge prizes in a sporting league based on fair play and goal scoring. As the season entered its closing stages, Town were in contention for the £30,000 prize money for second place, but only the first 42 league games counted, and with 3 of Town's last 4 matches away from home, away goals counted double, and Town's 3 more would have been enough. They were unable to overtake Crewe, and they ended up with nothing. It was that sort of season. Even in the final of the West Riding Cup, played on the 10th of May, Town succumbed to Huddersfield Town at Leeds Road, who won thanks to an early Frank Worthington goal. The Shaymen had defeated an accomplished-looking Leeds United side in the semi-final, but like in everything else were denied at the final hurdle. In retrospect, the 1970-71 campaign was something of a watershed. Subsequent events prior to the coming season perhaps suggested that Halifax Town would never get a chance at going so close. Did you know fact? The Shay has hosted rugby, speedway, baseball, boxing, wrestling, target golf, athletics, and in 1963, when the pitch froze over, public ice skating.